It's
Hey,
hey, it's 2:24 p.m. Pacific time. We've been trying to get to this pod for like 5 hours.
I
There you
know
go.
this is supposed to get recorded in the morning to get out to you all in a timely way, but elections and stuff. Um, hey, I want to start with this.
Okay.
Okay, we had the staff meeting today, our first staff meeting since the election. And we had this thing where everyone went around and talked about their how they spend their self-care time. And I want to share this super awesome thing right here. You ready? So
Hmm.
I love chocolate. This is a special kind of chocolate. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that, man. Look at that. Do you see that?
Bourbon barrel aged
That's right.
75% cacao.
That's right, man. I love bourbon also. So
Oh,
bourbon and
right.
chocolate. Oh, so good.
It's
So good.
that's really great, man. I love that you have gotten some chocolate that you're really happy for. And I would not want to like have it my portion of it at all. I would want you to have all of it.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you so much. Because you've had enough chocolate, right? You've had enough.
I've had my share of Nestle Crunches since election day. We that was like my self-care thing. That was one of the things I said for my self-care. So that was a good staff conversation. It was people sharing what they're doing and how they're getting through it. The
Yeah.
reason we didn't get to the pod till now is because of that conversation, but just a whole lot of ways in which Charles and I and the other leadership of the organization, and it isn't just the four directors, are are working and being very intentional about, supporting and engaging and meeting people where you're at. All right.
Yeah.
And that's a really essential part. We understand that Common Power is not a transactional organization. We don't set it up to be that way. We don't want it to be that way. And that means we go through the highs and the lows together, right? We do it. And so
Yeah.
this,
So it's a lot of, there's some big, all, 100, 200 people events. And then there's some small messages that all of us are answering and people we're talking to and folks looking for us, looking for a place like Common Power that's going to help them get through this. And so that's what we're spending a bunch of our time doing right now.
and that's great. That's good. We're cool with that. Um, so we wanted to make this podcast 2:26 now p.m. Pacific time, November 8th, Friday. Um, a podcast about, let's say, things that we know for sure at this point, okay, about Common Power and about our path forward. We are definitely in the next 2 weeks going to share some exciting things. A democracy curriculum that the Institute is about to share next week, some ideas that Fieldwork is thinking about and beginning to ponder for moving forward. We have exciting pieces that have been cooking for some time. All right.
Hmm.
Uh, so this isn't intended to be a podcast where we roll these pieces out, but I do think you and I have talked about, there's like a couple things definitively that we want to share with everybody that we've been saying in staff meetings, in last night's Zoom, in the night before Zoom, in our call with the Microsoft Democrats today, different things what we've been saying that we want to share here in the pod.
Yeah, I think we should also say before we roll down these like top three things, that we're gonna bring these dailies to a close
Hmm.
pretty soon here. Is it what do we say? Monday's the last daily.
I think we're going to aim for Monday, Veterans Day, to be the
Yeah.
close of this season.
Yeah, and like I'd say the biggest reason for that is that we've got to get to, to work. We've got to spend more of our time uh building, launching, holding stuff together right now while things settle, uh, and less time talking about the landscape of things. I think we were in a frame before of a lot of new information coming in
Yeah.
and then need for analysis and then us to tell everybody what we thought. And right now we actually need to do a bunch more research without saying anything, without drawing conclusions, without pointing in a direction because we need to be more sure. And because this is a different era, this is a different time. It's a different time and it's a different era that we're entering into. And so we want to be more intentional. We want to spend some more time synthesizing things and we want to look at the system that is CP. and get it ready for these next 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah. So we want to highlight, we think, three things here in this podcast that are like definitive right now. We're sure of them pieces, and we feel these very strongly.
Yeah.
Each of these. So go ahead. What's one?
The first one is the work, and it's not over. I know a lot of folks are thinking that things are over, and a lot of things are decided. This first one is not, though. It is not, and there's a chance that we can do something here. It's going to be a long shot, but we've had long shots before, and we don't shy away from them just because they are. And that's keeping the U.S. or getting the U.S. House, control the U.S. House, and that is focus on Arizona and California for us. The deadline for ballot curing is Sunday for Arizona, and then it's a longer runway for California. So we're going to focus on Arizona now. I think the race is 200 votes or something like that,
Mhm.
tight. And then we're going to move on to California after that on Monday. But Common Power, if you're listening to this and this isn't your first one, you know that we are an organization that is about action. We just spent time over the past year sending hundreds of people into the field, knocking on tens of thousands of doors, and we are not going to stop reaching out to voters. And you know, the most common power that we think everyone in the country should have is the right to vote, and so that for us is always going to be the North Star.
Yeah. Every election that is a place where we can make a difference, we're gonna give it what we got. And we're gonna go all the way through all the votes getting counted. I'm gonna share a screen here for a piece from the New York Times, which is called the not this picture here. I want to go over here to tracking the U.S. House. This is a page they have where they're tracking the remaining House races. And this is the total seats that have been called for the Democrats so far, 199. Here's the total that have been called for Republicans, 211, and then 25 not yet called. It takes 218 to have control of the U.S. House. If you're a gambler, or if you are a bettor or gambler, you would say that the Republicans are likely going to get control of the House. Okay. But it's not a done deal. And even if they get control of the House, the margin by which they have that control matters a great deal. Okay. So as we scroll down here, every race is on the left side. These are all races, different congressional districts. And if a congressional district has been called, there's a check mark here, and the whole box or all the way across is in red here. And then you'll see in blue for the Democratic called races. So here's the district. Here's the person that won. Here's their vote margin. As you scroll down, you get to where there's no box filled in. You get to ones that are still not called yet. And that starts here with the California 22nd. David Valadao is up by 10. He's likely going to win that seat. Some entities have called that race for Valadao. That's in the Central Valley. So that's likely going to be another Republican seat. But as you scroll down here, you get some that are Republicans are leading, and then you start to get ones in which Democrats are leading. And eventually you get to the ones that the Democrats have been called for them. We are particularly focused in Arizona on these two races right here. I'm sorry, no, this one, the Arizona 1st
And the 6th.
and
Yep.
the 6th down here. The Arizona 1st is David Schweikert, and that's in the Scottsdale, Phoenix area. He's the incumbent Republican. And the Arizona 6th is the Republican Juan Ciscomani. He's the Republican incumbent. That's the temp of the Tucson area. That race is going to go bounce back and forth. And right now, Ciscomani's up by 943 votes. And that's of 7 minutes ago. Okay. There's an awful lot of votes. You can see that 76% of the votes are in right now, which means a lot more are going to come in still. That is the one we're primarily trying to ballot cure for right now, right? That one, the Arizona 6th.
Yeah. And that was like what, an hour or two ago, Engel was up by 200 votes or something like that. So that one, like you said, it keeps going back and forth.
Yeah, and the campaign has told us that they have about what 400 or 600 votes to try to ballot cure that they think are going to be votes for Engel, and that could be it. That could be the difference.
Yeah.
We don't know, but we're going to try. And so that's the primary thing is Arizona ballot curing. After Arizona, as you said, we turn our attention to California, and almost every other one in here, like 2/3 of the rest of the ones that are uncalled, are California districts.
Yeah.
All right. There's the 45th, the 41st, the 13th, the 27th, the 47th. Then even down here where Dems are leading, there's the 21st, the 9th, the 49th. California takes for friggin' ever to count their ballots. If you look over here at the percentages that have been counted, you're talking 58 in the Valadeo, and then you're talking here in California 72, it's 54. So
Yeah.
there's a
Look at that.
ton to go. A
58.
ton.
Yeah.
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 So we will turn our attention to ballot curing from there after Arizona. This is called the tracking the House. If you just do like a Google search, New York Times, track the House, you'll get to this. And it's really obviously up to the minute update. And I find it very valuable. I'm not doing a whole lot of time on Twitter right now.
What?
I'm going distinctly to these targeted sites. Yeah, there's the Twitter. The Twitter takes us down a road that we find not
Yeah.
valuable, that we're gonna get to when we get to point three,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Point
Right.
three. So I'm using the track the house piece there though, and I
Okay.
want to be
Wait,
just
wait. Hold on. I think it's important that people who are used to hearing from you that you're saying that you're staying off of Twitter right now. I think that's a good idea. And maybe other people who are there now and spending a lot of time should think about spending less time.
let's take that and segue and flip what was going to be 3 to 2. Okay.
uh yeah, that makes sense to me. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, because
Yeah.
three then
No,
get
that's
right.
fine. It's like the summarizing bigger. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure, I got it. I got it. All right,
So
good.
let's
So I
close
want
this
to.
point. Close this point right now. Is we're still taking action. We are
Yes.
taking action.
Yes.
This election is not over yet.
Right.
Okay.
And if you're on our Slack, you can find the links on our Slack. And if you just go to Mobilize actually and search for the names of some of these candidates in the House or Arizona House or DCCC, I think the D Trip is doing a bunch of these pushes, and they've got like one link for all of the races that they're calling for. You'll be able to find it on mobilize.us pretty easily. Um, Okay, so this second point, and one of the reasons why David is saying he's staying off of Twitter, um, is, and this is just for our side. I know Twitter is a cesspool of of the internet. It's like the shallow end of the cesspool. 4chan has like crawled out of the bottom of the internet, and now it's been codified as normal, but it's not good on our side right now because a lot of people are airing their grievances about other people within the Democratic coalition. We're hearing reports of people from campaigns that are pointing fingers at other people. We're seeing people that are across the like coalition of community organizations that are pointing fingers at other demographic groups. And the thing that there's like a two-tier message to this. One of them is that is not helpful, y'all. This is not helpful. If you wanted to find out a way, if you want to find a way to destroy preemptively undercut a resistance to Trump, um, start pointing the fingers at each other right now, because that's how you'll do it. If you want to build from zero instead of the momentum that we have coming out of this election and be ready for Trump, then start blaming each other for what just happened. It is over. It is fucking over. It's done. There's no relitigating it does not matter right now. Especially with exit poll. I don't understand this. It's exit polls. It's not even hard data. We're gonna get hard data soon.
Yeah.
So some of these people who are pointing fingers are gonna have to apologize later because we're gonna get real data that's tied to real election voting information. So they should know better. But this is terrible for us. So that's like the first part is the entire ecosystem on the left of organizers and politicos and leaders in general that are connected to politics. The other side is for CP specifically, we're not playing that shit. Okay, we are not going to be doing that. This is our organization intentionally works across difference of race and age and puts people out in the field who are very different from each other to go and knock on doors towards a common goal. This is like kryptonite to us. Do not bring conversations into our community that want to highlight somebody and blame them within the broader ecosystem on the left. Will not tolerate that shit. We don't need it. We're barely hanging on right now on our side. We don't need anybody disrupting it. So I'm pretty categorical about that. It is a miracle what we have built here. And the way you destroy it pretty quickly is to start calling people out that may not even, it's not their responsibility to, David's not in charge of making sure that all the white men, Democrats vote. So he doesn't get all the blame. So those are my pieces. I feel pretty strongly about that. And this is one of those moments for some people where if they decide that what they need to do is drag people on the left, then, this is not the place for you. Common power is not the place for you. It's common for a reason. Mm-hmm. That's all of us, as many of us as possible.
Let me, so there's two dimensions there. One is the nature of this election. It's over. Okay. And I want to show a couple pieces that just make very clear to all of us that this was a national decision. Like that, whether or not, whether we like it or not, the reality is that this was a national choice. 49 out of 50 states in this country, in 49 out of 50 states in this country, they moved towards the Republican Party relative to 2020 in 49 out of 50. Okay. The one state where that didn't happen is the state of Washington. And as barely
where common power is. Okay. Maybe I'll tell you something about our philosophy. Okay. Maybe we had something.
So to visually capture how much this country moved, this is a graph from the Washington Post, and every county is in here is represented by a color, an arrow. And if you move towards the Republican Party, it's a red arrow, and if you move towards the Democratic Party, it's a blue arrow. And there's not much blue here. It's overwhelmingly red across this country. And the reason the West Coast doesn't have many arrows right now is because the votes are still being counted there. All right. Not because of any neutrality there. The votes are being still counted. You can pick an urban area. You can pick a rural area. You can pick a white area. You can pick a Latino area. You can pick a Black predominantly neighborhood. You can pick a mixed area. You can pick high education. You can pick low education. The fact is that this country made this choice right now. And that is really essential for us to know and to live into and to accept. Related to this is a visually way to represent this as well, is this is by demographic. So if you really want to cut out and look at the specific demographic groups, here's the list of some of them along the side here. They're racially, their age, they're gendered here. And what we're seeing here is the percent of the Republican margin. And as you move to this way, to the right side, it's more Republican. And the arrows represent the amount of movement from 2020 to 2024 in each of these demographics. Across the board, folks, across the board. All right. So the first point to undergird, the first thing I want to do to undergird Charles's point here is that the election is over and it was an across the board decision. It was. And that's the great strength of democracies are people make choices. The great weakness of democracies is that people make choices. And people are people, humans are humans. And the reality is that people often make choices that are not in their best interest and have all and or have harm for other people. And that's what's happened here. So for us to litigate that and to try to dissect that, it might be an intellectual exercise for some people, but it is not a collective social
Mm,
exercise. All right. So
yeah.
that's my first undergird point on that.
Yeah, and okay, and doing it, I would add doing it right now when emotions are most raw and when the information is not as precise as it will be is super dangerous. It's super dangerous.
Um,
Go ahead.
so then your second dimension of your point is that we are
Hmm.
common power. We are
Hmm.
common power, and we are in this together. And I met you in 2018, and from the beginning, one of our points of alignment, and all of the directors in this organization and all of the staff today in this organization, is that we believe in that sense of we're together in this, right? We're together in this. That has always been there. It has been a central piece of who we are. And you have led the way on this. I mean, you have manifested it at least as, if not more strongly than everybody else, every step of the way. That's part of your superpower as a leader. And I'm appreciative of that. I really respect and appreciate that. I want to
Thanks,
ask
man.
you, yeah, I want to ask you a question. You seem to be even more determined on this today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you to tell us a little bit about that. Like you seem even more determined now.
Because I think that I think it's super old hat stuff to cut across these like classic demographic lines first. I think that that's one piece. I had a major issue after Kamala was named that and I kind of joked about this at one of our rallies. They were like, "Yeah, it's about unity, it's about bringing people together." And then as soon as we name Kamala, we have these calls that are cut across these demographics,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And so we immediately split ourselves up, right?
Hmm.
And maybe that was the first sign that like we didn't understand what new thinking had to happen because we're like, all right, we're gonna celebrate. Everybody go to your groups. And it's like, what the fuck? Like
Hmm.
it is so hard for us to come together that the like foundational point of us, you know, celebrating or mobilizing is that everyone goes to their corners. Um, it doesn't ring true to me for this America. The racial cuts, the gender cuts, just like the basic slices, I think are not the pathway forward to us finding what the coalition's going to be on the left. It is more about class. It is more about socioeconomics and not about the obvious differences. So and then we also, we're students of history at Common Power. And so
Hmm.
what we understand is that any advancement that's ever been made has been made because a bunch of people who are very different from each other decided to not focus on those differences and instead focus on the things that unite them. And that is so hard because we're so different from each other and we have all of these disagreements. And it's a miracle when we were able to work together. So I would ask folks to do the hard thing and continue to maintain this coalition that we've built across difference. I feel really strongly about it because I'm defensive of what we've built as over the years here in our seventh year now. And also I think it's the way forward for the liberal movement, for the progressive movement, for the movement that looks after people who've been disenfranchised. And so it's frustrating when it feels like we go backwards. And I now that I understand that common power is not just a node in the stream of
Hmm.
existence in
Hmm.
political activism and organizing on the left, and that we can possibly be a defining a defining factor. I'm gonna draw a line in the sand, and I'm gonna say, no. I think it's bullshit to divide people up now. I think it's the wrong strategy to point people out and to say you did this wrong. I think that we very clearly lost because there weren't enough people that we included in decision making and messaging and all of that for this election. So we've got to not only take care of the people we've got, but we've got to figure out how to add these folks in who maybe voted for Trump, but also the what 10 million now that didn't vote at all, that voted for the last Democratic president. So yeah, we've got to open it up, not close it.
And you're not saying ignore our differences.
No,
You're not, which you're not saying like, oh, I don't see color, I don't
right.
see gender or anything like that. Which what I've always heard from you and I've always been inspired by was this sense of, yes, we're a beautiful salad. We are of all these diversity. And also we've got to focus on a goal that is a
Right.
common, this is where the common purpose piece does fit
Mm,
still, right? We've
yeah,
got a
yeah,
common purpose, and that common purpose is one of a multiracial democracy. That's what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, yeah. And it's so obvious what's different about us that it's impossible to ignore. And it's ludicrous to pretend like those aren't there. And you cannot focus on them constantly because they will divide you.
So just to kind of finish this point a little bit. So are you hang on, my bad. I gotta look out here. I gotta plug in. Hang on.
Is your laptop about to die?
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, ask me the question. Oh, you have to go find the plug somewhere. This is classic. I thought maybe we were gonna get some PowerPoint action today as the like behind the scenes. Oh,
Okay, now in doing that, I had to unplug the the camera. Remember,
oh,
because I told you the camera plugs into the power, you know?
oh.
So
Okay,
wait,
so
I'm
there we go.
back, but it's not as good a camera,
Oh, look
right?
at the smoky screen is back. Classic. That's good. Okay.
um, I think the question I was wanted to ask you is, so that what you're saying and what we're saying and this definitive piece about going forward is this sense of the tent, the tent has to be big enough to include people that maybe any one of us would not choose to have in that tent.
Yeah. Yeah, because we got so I mean, like I said in a couple of podcasts ago, like I'm in learning mode because I got to figure out what the hell who are these people who voted the other way, and then who are these people who didn't show up, and what was it that resonated with them, and what did we not say or do that we need to? So we can't like if we're gonna solve for the next election, um, or start mobilizing now in a way that is new and different and has different dimensions to the methodology, uses a new technology, new platforms, all these things. We can't do that without asking all these people who are like quote unquote not on our side, right? So that I mean that's one lesson. Like we've gotta like stretch beyond the people that we have in order to do better and to win next time. To win these local elections, these state-based elections, all of that stuff, to build whatever this new platform for action is on the left. But to expand more, we can't lose what we have either. So there are people that are here. So this what do they call it? A circular firing squad, I think is the term they like to use on the news often. But to start breaking apart the people that are here and pointing out demographic groups who we think didn't do what we wanted them to do. I just thought about that whole thing about Latino men and the way they voted. Could you imagine being a Latino organizer and having someone be like, "This is your
Mm,
fault"?
mm.
Somebody who's like, and they'd be someone who's or close to us because we work with these organizers. The broader we, and now we're like, why didn't your people are the ones who didn't. It's their fault that what are you saying? That is crazy. And what are they supposed to do with that? Like they tried as hard as we did. They ran through the tape. They gave it their all. And now that we're on the other side of this and we are facing more that we have to give, more work that we got to do. And oh, by the way, their community is one of the first targets.
Yeah.
So now you want to immediately point to them and say it's their fault and they're the villains or it's their and yet they're the ones who are going to need our help the most immediately. Like this, it makes no sense at all, and it's not fair, it's not right, and it's going to send us backwards. And we've made a ton of progress. We lost, but we made a ton of progress, and we should retain that.
That's beautiful, man. That's really beautiful. I think there's going to be a need and chances for you to write and to speak about this. And I just you're right. You're right. And the passion and the energy and also the 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 strategic uh, clarity that you're articulating is great. So, man, it's good. It's good. And I love that for this organization. I love it because I believe it, but I also love it because clarity lets everybody make choices. That's what it
Yeah,
does. Everybody
that's
can make
right.
choices.
That's right. And this is a good transition to our third point because one of the reasons why I feel so clear about this is because we can stand on our record of this thing that we built, this evergreen system of churning out volunteers from around the country, from different backgrounds to do this, to go out and talk to voters.
I got the visual thing, man. I'm ready to show it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Because this is the thing we're going to be talking a lot about. And we built this as a kind of encapsulation of our work. Look at that. It's like, don't do that to me. Let's see here.
What is
There,
this?
there you go.
Oh, did you update? Okay.
You know, I just have ongoing issues with Adobe, man. Okay, so this is our summation of our program overview that we built over the last 7 years, and we really finalized this early in 2024.
Yeah.
All right, and so many people who are joining this organization have never seen this
Yeah.
or only have a glimpse of part of it, and those who have been part of our organization have not seen it put together in exactly the totality in which we have it. So
Yeah.
this we call the ecosystem of common power is the way in which we get to that new Voting Rights Act, the way in which we bring people into the organization and take them across our three major pillars of education, leadership development, and action. And what we call this, the system or the ecosystem or the program overview of common power. Um, I come out of this like I don't know what the exact electoral strategies are coming out of this election. I'm not really invested in that at this moment because I think our program sits above that.
Yeah.
Okay. Our program is about how you build democracy. And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
elections are moments in democracy, but they are not the
Mhm.
totality of it.
And I think that the planning that we do here now is going to be on that exact point that you're talking about, which is elections are these really important pieces, and voting is these are the necessary steps. But this system speaks to other parts in that process that come before and after voting
Uh-huh.
that encourage things like community and civic engagement and communal learning and are the foundations for other pieces that we're going to need, like mutual aid and just other civic engagement anchors that people are going to go back to now in this new era. Um, the interesting point that you talked about in this system is that a lot of people joined us in the blue action step, and that is a feature of even years, of major presidential years, where people feel called to take action that's beyond what they're used to,
Yeah.
and they join us. And it's a very salient message of like, save this thing or represent this person, participate in this thing that the entire country's participating in, and they join us in the action step. And our action is phenomenal. It's top notch. I would say it's the most or one of the most sophisticated and successful volunteer development systems in the country. And people experience that in the field. They join these state teams, they travel, they see the way we do work, we make it easy, it feels important, and they say to us, I've never seen this before. And then we say, well, the way this happened, the blue part, is because of the green part, the education part, and the leadership and community parts. Um, and now you get to see that. And this is the come for the action and stay for the people piece. And we're going to share more of this over time. I would say that it looks linear, but it's actually a circle
Uh-huh.
if you're
Uh-huh.
in our community. So if you join us at any one of these points, and depending on when you join, you may join on one of these, you make it to the end, and then you circle right back around. So I'm excited for that, for all the new folks who are new to the Common Power just for the presidential election.
Yeah. I have been thinking about the fact that it's circular and that we represent this as a one-time path through, and it's not. Um, I'm glad you said that. And I think that intentionality is a very significant part of what makes common power is that the intentionality. You don't get young people without going out and recruiting them and creating an on-ramp for them, paying them to go through Action Academy,
Mhm.
supporting them, providing great mentorship for them. All right. The leadership of Larcy and Blossom and others that have been part of Action Academy over time is just spectacular. Right. And you don't get
Mhm.
all these volunteers that are committed to voting rights and the fight for racial justice in this country, who are a little bit older, unless you help them to learn and to
Yeah.
know and to understand. And you can't meet people at the door in either case, of the younger person's door or the older or the more mature person's door. You can't meet them at the door and say, here, I have a checklist. And if you don't meet all 7 of the things on this checklist, like
Mm.
knowledge wise, or identity wise, or like the right language wise, or any of these things, that you're out. You can't do that.
Right.
Okay. And
Right.
so the way in which we get to those fields, those several hundred volunteer actions that we have out there during an election season, um, is because we're intentional about building this enterprise from the beginning. And I love that the election outcome is the last thing I wanted. Okay. But
Mhm.
it's over. All right. It's over. And we now get to go back through that circle again. Okay. And now we go back into the education, and Larcy's already got, I can't wait for Action Academy to get going. And
Yeah.
Terry Scott's about to roll out a democracy curriculum for the
Mhm.
Institute. And it's like we pick each other up. It's like a team. Right. It's
Yeah.
like picks each other up. We're like, all right, we left it all in the field there. And now we're going over to this other space, because that's how we rebuild again and strengthen and get strong.
You're right. It is like a team. It's like we've got our, and whatever the game is, we've got our starting lineup because it's a presidential year, and the starting lineup was field work, and starting lineup's ready to come off the bench, and there's fresh legs there. There's people who've been training and warming up, and now they're taking over, and the fieldwork folks get to rest. I love that they've been cooking. I love that Action Academy is going to announce in January again, and there's new purpose for all these college students. And we got an email today asking if we can go to talk to a local college because this professor was like, my students are in disarray and they don't know what to do right now. And we're like, we got it right here. We got the thing that they're supposed to be doing.
we
It
we
is,
almost have like the old days. You'd pull out the right file.
yeah,
You'd be like,
that's right.
yeah,
That's
it's,
right. That's
I got
right.
the, you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've got the recipe right here.
it's
Right.
right here. You got people who are like, why did this happen? Why did this all happen, and what is our country? And then Terry's like, oh, you want to know how we got here? Well, let me tell you about the history of political engagement in America dating back decades. um and it is available right now. And oh, by the way, it's Hakeem Jeffries' brother doing the course, you know, and this is just like, this is not, we didn't make this now. We weren't like, oh yeah, Kamala lost, so we're going to create this community that will keep you afloat during the darkest times. It will educate you on how we got here while still supplying you with ways to take action throughout that time. And then if you're younger and you're brand new to this, we actually got a special on-ramp for you over here where you're going to learn a lot of the same things, but we're also going to pay you money and give you leadership development training to learn, repay you to learn and that course. And then we're gonna, when it's time to knock on doors again as a community, just in time, we're gonna bring everyone together and we're going to complete that line of the circle, and we're going to do it over and over and over again. And oh, by the way, we didn't just make this, we made this 7 years ago, and every single year we do this, not just during presidential cycles, we do it every year for special elections, for small elections in towns you never heard of, for big elections that are on the news, and we show up and we never leave. John Lewis said, what did he say? He said, go in and stay in
Right.
the streets
Get in the streets and stay in
of
the streets.
of every city and hamlet, right?
Yep.
Get in and stay in the streets. He he knew that it had to be close. You had to get in local, and you also had to not leave. And that's what common power is. We've been here. And that's why point three is the system, because we actually do not have to get ready for this moment. That's the coolest thing about this. When you say we're excited, we have to like tamp down how good we feel about us right now because the rest of the country is not there. But the coolest thing about this moment for us, and I'll go there, I'll say it. The coolest thing about this moment for us is that we understand that we are ready for this moment already. Everyone has to get ready. And common power, we stay ready. And we have been ready for this moment. We actually were made for this moment. And we think other people should join us. People should join us. They should collaborate with us. They should try to steal our idea. Don't steal our idea. You should collaborate with us because we're great. We're great partners. Yeah, our tent can get bigger. You should join us.
Totally. I agree. You're absolutely right that I have gotten a lot of wonderful, loving notes, texts and emails and calls over the last 3 days. And like the kind of general sentiment of them is, how you doing? How
Hmm.
you doing? Like, how you hanging in there? You doing okay? And every single time I'm like, this sucks. This totally sucks, this situation. And also the work that we do at Common Power, this is nothing but a speed bump in that body
Hmm.
of work, right?
Right.
And the pain and the danger that is real for people in the Trump era is a real thing. It is. And also the fact is that our system is built to bring people in so that we can stand together. That's one of
Yeah.
the ways that
So we
we
can help
protect each
that's
other.
a part of the excitement is we're like, we're ready to help them. Those people are going to need help. We're actually ready for that. And that's a really cool thing that we feel like we are ready tomorrow, today to work on these house races. We're ready if a special election pops up. We're ready if one of our community organizations calls us and they're like, we need people for whatever it is that they need. That's exciting. That's exciting to know that you are ready to help other people.
Yeah. So this is our Friday podcast. We're forever fired up and ready to go because we stay ready. And everybody who has made this possible with your support and your time and your treasure, thank you. And we need you. All right.
Mm,
We need you. All right. We're never unwilling to tell you that we need you. All
mm,
right. Because that's what a circle and a collective space looks like. We're in this together. So we got a couple more days of these podcasts, but it was Kamala Harris, Vice President Harris, who said in her speech on Wednesday, I am ceding, CEDE, I am
Mhm.
ceding this election, but I and we are not ceding the fight that sustained this campaign, right? And absolutely not, folks. Absolutely not. For all the success of Trump and the movement to the right, there's a lot of things coming out of this election that are very positive, and our system and our commitments, we're full speed ahead, and let's just come with us, folks. Just come with us.
Let's do it.
All right, man.
More
Thanks.
tomorrow.
More
All right.
tomorrow. See ya.